First of all, obviously a great win for our football team and our football program. Really proud of our players. I thought our coaches did a great job of putting them in positions to win. Our players executed. But, we've had two really, really good weeks of practice, and we're getting better. A lot of little storylines that maybe you don't see in the outcome of the game. But, first of all, Tim Hardiman and him battling through injuries and playing tonight is remarkable. We had 4 defensive linemen out at one time. So the resolve, the resiliency, the grit that we talk about in trusting the process and the process of building our program, I think that was really kind of revealed tonight. When you talk about Jalen Rayner, I think, we got to take care of the football at the end of the first half. We knew we were getting the ball to start the second half, so it's managing the clock and trying to have a 14-point swing from scoring at the end of the half and then coming back. But, we turned the football over, we throw an interception, and then the first play of the second half, he comes back and does a great job and hits Courtney Jackson in stride. Courtney did a great job of beating man coverage. But the reason why that play was able to be successful, when we talk about 11 for 11, it was Jaquez Cross. Probably made the play of the game. And they brought pressure, and he did a great job in his pass protection and allowed Jalen the opportunity to complete the ball. But, we talked about complementary football, a lot of great illustrations, a lot of teaching moments and moving forward. When you look at it, there's a little less than 8 minutes to go in the game. It was 34-34. We had the ball in the minus 45, and I believe we had 4th and 3. We elected to punt the football, which I have trust in our defense and trust in our punters. And we pooch punt. We get them inside the 10. Our defense forces a 3 and out, and then we get the ball back. Now we got to go score a touchdown. To their credit, they only gave up 3 points. But, that's all little things with complementary football. We scored on our first 4 possessions. A lot of that was set up on an interception by Malik, and then Reed Linder on a blocked punt. So, again, all week long, that was our theme for this game. It's complementary football, all 3 phases, having great synergy and working together. I thought we had that. Had 2 back-to-back touchdown drives to start the third quarter. But then if you really look at when we struggled, we gave up way too many tackles for loss and too many sacks. But we knew this would be a 15-round heavyweight matchup, and that's what we talked to them all week long. And I guess the thing I'm most excited about is we weathered the momentum, we weathered the ebbs and flows of a football game, and our kids didn't blink. We have to – it's 34-17, and we didn't fit or run, from the defensive tackle to the safety to the linebacker position, and the ball goes the distance. And 34-17, as we continue to learn how to win, you can't give up that explosive play. And you look at the ebbs and flows, we go from 34-17 to 34-34, and then kind of what we went through last year with this same team. I think that shows how much we've grown in our competitive character and our competitive makeup. But we have to get better in a lot of areas, but really, really proud of our players.
Where have you seen the biggest growth since Oklahoma to tonight?
A lot, I think, in our approach. With everything, our toughness, our style of play, the way we practice, our leadership, our connection as a football team, our belief in each other, the whole mindset. The last 2 weeks have been completely different. And, when you look at the course of a football season, every team is going to have adversity. We're going to have adversity again. But you find out what you're made of internally. And, we grew and we learned from the Oklahoma experience. We grew and we learned, unfortunately, from the Memphis experience. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to go through those lessons. You can never waste a failure, and our players haven't. but they haven't blinked. It's galvanized them more than it ever has, and again, it's a tribute to them. It's a tribute to our leadership. But since I've been here, we've finally had individuals step up and make key plays in critical junctures, critical stages of the game, and that was exciting to see.
Coach, you know, heading into the fourth quarter, the 17-point lead evaporating, there
Yep.
was the specter of last year's loss, so there was nothing big coming up. How did you, I don't know, how did you encourage or get your team
Yep.
to shake that off and move forward with it?
I think it was a week of our mental disposition and our preparation throughout the course of the week. We knew that there was going to be ebbs and flows. We had prepared for this. We talked about it every day this week in being able to manage the adversities and winning the moment, focusing in on the moment. And basically, when we started the offense, it was 14 minutes to go in the game, and it was 34-34, and I told them it's 0-0 heading into the fourth quarter. And what do we talk about in our program and our process to winning is win the fourth quarter. And so our kids didn't flinch. I was looking for that. But there was just a belief finally that we were going to find a way that we were going to win the football game.
You mentioned win the fourth quarter, obviously. It gets set up with the Zavada field goal, but then Rayner just has that huge hole open up. What was going through your mind when you saw that play develop?
Well, I think any time in those type of situations when you have the ability to run the quarterback, it exposes another gap. And, they're a talented football team. They're big and physical up front. And so they're bringing a lot of pressure, obviously, in that type of situation. We practice that all the time in training camp. But anytime you can add another gap to your run game with a running quarterback and, obviously running, then my thought process goes to what we're doing on the kickoff, all that stuff. But, I can't say enough about Jalen, but not only his performance, but his leadership and the belief that his teammates have. But I want to make sure I'm crystal clear. I believe in all our quarterbacks, and we're going to need all of them. Jackson Daly, JT Shrout, those guys, I believe in all of them. And they've been as instrumental in Jalen's development as much as anyone. So I appreciate those guys. And again, it's still early. We're going to need everybody. But again, we had some individuals that hadn't played much that had to step up, and I thought Dominic's kick in the first half was big. I think it was 53 or 54 yards. You look at a game comes down to maybe 4 to 6 plays. This game, there was probably 7 or 8, and none bigger than Jaquez Cross's blitz pickup, like I mentioned earlier, on the first play of the second half.
Two things to touch on. You've been harping on a lot in these last few weeks about special teams cleaning that up and then generating turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. So can you kind of touch on those two components and how that was tonight?
I thought early on we did some really good things in the special teams game, and they're very well coached. They do a good job on special teams. Greg Myers, our special teams coordinator, he worked for me at Tennessee, kind of mentored him. I love him and have a lot of respect for him. And so I knew that it would be a battle of special teams. But I think, when you look at Reed Linder blocking the punt, we're able to turn that into points. We did some good things on kickoff return, a change in field position. Obviously our kickoff team, we kicked one out of bounds, but another true freshman, walk-on kicker from Michigan, 30 minutes from my hometown. Very proud of him. His family brings me Verner's and Better Made barbecue chips every time they come here, which if you haven't tried it because you'll have a hard time finding something better. But, him playing really for the first time in a significant game. So I thought our special teams really sparked us, and it created an edge for us, and it also created a lot of momentum for us as well.
But you kind of touched on this, and Jalen throws the interception at the end of the first half. First play, second half, he comes back and throws a touchdown pass. Just your thoughts on the poise and the confidence for a true freshman.
You just said it, poise. Poise, unwavering confidence. His disposition is incredible. I usually get my morning started with a good morning, coach, have a great day from him. And it started in recruiting and just very consistent. Now, obviously, it's going to get harder for him as the season progresses. Next week's going to be a great challenge for him. You know, now he's set kind of a standard, but there's a consistency in performance. But, you know, we've been seeing it, and you know, it's like I said, we have a lot of younger players that maybe weren't ready game one, game two, but we knew through the repetitions that they would start to gain valuable experience and they would be ready to play. We had to play some true freshmen on special teams today, you know, on kickoff in a critical moment, hands team, you know, all those things that are vital. But, you know, just he's very poised, very confident, and again, the players believe in him, and when you have that, you're going to have success.
There has been improvement in several areas of this team since week one. One area that stands out to me, obviously, we talked about in the first couple of weeks, the drop passes. Those seem to be dropping off now. You know, Foreman seems to be hauling it in. Several of those guys that were having drop pass issues seem to be gaining that confidence that you were talking about.
Yeah, and we've really stressed that, and everything is about your hand placement and your eye concentration and just focus. We still had, I think, a couple tonight, which we can't do in moving forward, but also our receivers stepped up and made a big play. You know, the one, Jeff Foreman, you know, got us going on the post, but also the one on their sideline where we were in a different tempo thing, and we executed. Those are the things that, you know, the different tempo that we were able to execute there. And we were more 11 for 11 than we've ever been. And again, we also need players that can make you right when you're wrong. And Jeff was able to do that. Corey had a couple big catches for us. Courtney Jackson is playing winning football for us. It's important to Reagan Ely. It was great to have Adam back. He's not 100%. You had a lot of kids tonight that gave of themselves and sacrificed themselves for the good of the team, and that was as pleasing as anything.
What does this talk about, the turning points of the program, like the Oklahoma kind of, that experience was kind of a turning point? Do you feel like tonight was kind of a turning point with all the things you always talk about, you know, the team learning to find a way to win, you know, complementary football aspects like that?
I think what we've done is we've proven we can do it now against a quality opponent. And again, when you're up 34-17, there's learning experiences of what you can't do, but there's also a great learning experience of you went from 34-17 to 34 and you didn't blink. And you kept plugging. And I think there's a trust factor too. You know, everything we talked about, I told our team on Friday the game was going to come down to a hands team situation, and we practiced it more than we ever have. We practice it every week, but, you know, I think it's just the trust, and I think just the overall confidence. And our players work really, really hard. It's important to a lot of kids in that locker room. So to be able to see them celebrate, and it kind of adds validity. But as we know, we live in a week-to-week season. We have to reinvent ourselves next week going on the road and proving we can win on the road. But we'll take a 24-hour rule, and we'll enjoy this. But there were a lot of things that I have not seen in the past occur in a positive way tonight.
Anything else, guys? Just last one for me. Just going back to Rainer. Like I said, with true freshman, you've been coaching a long time. How unusual is that for a true freshman, especially a quarterback, to kind of come into that calmness and that voice?
Yeah, you know, you kind of revert back to, you know, where you've been, and we've been fortunate. You know, Josh Dobbs was a redshirt freshman and had to play, and he had a lot of the same characteristics that Jalen has. Dan Lefevre was the same way that we had at Central Michigan. It's just they have something about them. Their teammates gravitate towards them, and he don't get rattled. And I think the other thing is we asked a lot of him tonight. If you look at what we asked him to throw RPOs. We asked him to throw true drop back passes. We asked him to throw play passes. We asked him to run design quarterback runs. We asked him to run runs with pull reads. there's a lot of things that we asked of the quarterback position tonight, and he executed it. Now, are there a lot of things we need to improve on? There was a couple times I thought he took a couple sacks when we had all the TFLs going on, where we had the post route wide open, and I thought he got a little bit of low vision. But really, when you look at it, for the most part, you take away one or two of those. He had high vision in the pocket, and he just didn't put his eyes down and scramble. So again, I think there's a lot of positive things to build upon, and I know this. His competitive character, he will come back even hungrier than he was this week.
Anything else?
One more for me, on the touchdown at the end, was that a handoff option that?
Yes.
he didn't choose?
Yes, reading the defensive end. And he pulled it, and, you know, that's what happens when you get in those situations. That's why the ability to run the quarterback is so big, and exposing a gap gives you extra ball carrier. They were in man coverage, so if the ball hits past the first level, it's usually going to be an explosive play, which it was.
Is that it, guys? Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.